Good morning and welcome, to Something Saturday. So I had a bit of trouble deciding what I was going to show you today, but I worked it out, so go me! And we're going to have a go at a different style of card, which you may have seen before and you may not have done, but I think it's really cool. And in my typical fashion of, not liking to use too much paper in one go, it works really well. I'll show you in a moment. So come on through to my craft room. So I'm going to show you today how to make a bendy card. You might have made these before, or you may have never made one, but this is what I was making the other day. So I was at the Picture to Page show, and the only stamp set I had with me and the only papers I had with me were these ones here, which is the, oh my gosh, I forgot to grab my catalogue out. Terribly organised here. Let's just grab my catalogue out and tell you where they are. Oh, glasses, where have I gone to? Always makes a difference when you put glasses on. Oh, look at that. So it's on page 69. So if you've got one of these catalogues, it's the purple catalogue. Page 69, there is the Ready to Ride suite. And because I was teaching this card, which is like that, and then this piece at the front just flops down, so you end up with that. Hang on a second, let me stand up, make sure that's actually looking like it should. So it's basically that card there. That's what I was teaching, and that's why I only had these particular things with me. So let's just slip that back into there. So I needed to make a card up for my tutorial that is free to anyone who orders over $75 with me. So in that tutorial you get upwards of 30-40 cards or projects that are from demos all over the world. So this is the one that I submitted this time. And I'm not going to show you how to make this specific one, but I am going to show you how to make a bendy card. So that's what it looks like on the bottom. That's what it looks like on the top. And it just has these two little flaps that when you want to send it off, it goes off like that. So I mentioned when we were outside that it's a very economical card to make. And I like making economical cards because I'm stingy. To be perfectly honest. All right, so what you're going to need is a sheet of A4 cardstock. So we're going to go with the nice thick cardstock. So this is the basic white, thick basic white, I think is what it's called. Anyway, you want to then cut it at 10.5 centimeters. So in effect, you're cutting it in half. You don't use this half, so you can make 2 bendy cards out of one. Love it. Then you want to score it at 14.8, so you end up with an A6 card like that opens sideways. Okay, but what we're actually going to do is we're going to cut out part of this front bit and then reuse it for the other arm. So what we then want to do is I actually want the piece that is attached down the bottom to be bigger than the piece that goes in at the front. So I went with 5 centimeters. You could actually change it and you could do whatever you wanted, whatever suits your stamp set. So we're going to then go and take our cutter. So I've measured it up to the 5 centimeter mark, and literally I'm just cutting off this section here. It wouldn't work to cut off this section because then that would be the back of your card. This is the front of your card. So we'll take that and then we'll pop it back to my 14.8 and we'll just chop out that section there. So you can actually see, I hope, there's a little line on your cutter there. And you can see that it's just going to go to there, and that should now pull out. And you know what? I've cut it the wrong way. That's hilarious. Okay, so I'm going to put that one to one side and we're going to try again. I can't believe I just did that after explaining to you why I was doing it that way. Anyhow, let's try again. Round 2. We're going to have to cut it. I know what I did wrong. So we're going to go back to exactly what we did the first time round. So cut it at the 5 centimetre mark down to the score line. And this time, you know what we might do is we might actually take off the top rather than the bottom. So put it back to your 14.8 because that's where the score line is, and we're just going to cut it down to there, and that should now come out. There we go. My goodness, how much better is that? Can't believe I did that. You know what, I'll make something with the other card and I'll show you what I make. So that can be your first piece of it. So the other piece currently is actually slightly larger. Oh, and I also have cut slightly more off than I needed. Right, so we'll just whip that little piece off there because it's got the bend on it and we don't actually want that particular bend. But what we do want is we do want a bend on this one, because as you can see it has like little feet that tuck underneath. So what we're going to do is we're going to pop it back into here at 5 millimeter mark and just give it a bend going in that direction. So it's going to be bending the opposite direction. Hopefully this is making sense. Anyway, the next piece, because I did my first lot at 5 centimeters, what I'm going to do is halve it and do it at 2.5 centimeters. So 2.5 centimeters, and you're just literally taking the piece that was cut out of the top there and using that, which is why I like this card, because it's so economical. So then what you want to do is 1 centimeter you want to score at one end, and what happens with this end is this is going to give you something to attach onto the card itself there. Okay, and then you want the other 5 millimeter score line on the other side. So 5 millimeters, and we'll score that, and that gives you that piece there. So what will happen is that will attach onto there, and you'll have a card that's got 2 arms to it, and then you've got one that's going to go this way and one that's going to go this way. And that is the bones of your bendy card. Then at that point what you want to do is decorate it, and I had this thought. So let's see whether I actually kept it out, shall we? Oh, there it is. So I have this thought that these are the delicate edges dies, and I was wondering what it would look like if I was to put this along the top of it, because I was thinking that could look really pretty. So let's grab my stamping cut and emboss machine and bring that into the picture. It's got a couple of bits in it still. Okay. So this, I know that this die cuts along the top here. It doesn't cut the bottom, so you can actually safely use it and know that it's going to give you an edge rather than cutting the whole thing out of the top of it, if that makes sense. So let's pop that onto there and send it through. Give that a bit of a flick. Couple of pieces not coming out there, I'll just poke those out quickly. The rest of it actually just fell out, which was very convenient of it. All right, so that looks really pretty actually on top of there. I wonder if I could do another layer. Oh, you know what? Why not? Why not? Let's do it. Let's get rid of these bits first, shall we? All right. Let's repeat the design down the bottom here. And I wonder if it's worth repeating the design 3 times. Could make it interesting, couldn't it? Well, let's start as we mean to go on. Let's just bump that up a little bit so it's a little closer to that edge. Go with that one. I always find it easiest to hold on to my machine at the top. So you're going to find that it has attached itself slightly, but I wouldn't worry too much about that. And I wonder whether it would work on this one as well. That could look really cool. Why not give it a go? At the end of the day, it's just paper. I can recut it. Even though I like to be economical, occasionally I like to experiment too. Let's see. It's going to go that way. So let's go like that. Actually, I wonder, because I want this part to attach well to the card, what I might do is actually go with it like that. Let's see whether this works, shall we? Oh, okay. My die is now curling in the wrong direction, so I've just given it a bit of a bend in the other direction. And then let's go. All right. Wow, got lots of little bits everywhere. I think that's one of the hazards of this particular die. All right, let's move this out of the way. I think the lovely thing with this die is that once you do that, most of the bits come out. So there's really only a couple of bits in here that haven't just automatically fallen out, which is very handy. Just poke those little pieces out as well. Or not, apparently those pieces are really well in there. Obviously they've been in there a while. Oh well, still cuts well. And let's pop that to one side. And then you'll need to trim off these little pieces. Oh. I'll just trim that one down a wee bit as well, actually. Interesting. And we need to do the same thing with this. As I say, you can usually just flick it and pieces come out. I do have a brush as well. I want to say I know where it is, but I'm actually not 100% sure where it is. That's handy, isn't it? Oh, look, that little piece will still work as well. That's good. All right. Let's just... God, almost need a brush now, don't I? All right. Yes, that's right. You keep rolling down my table. I don't know if I've actually mentioned this, but my craft room is on a bit of an angle, so everything rolls downhill. And downhill is towards me. All right. Ooh, this is going to look pretty. So what I might do is I might go ahead and attach this piece down onto here. I don't know whether it really needs that whole section, so I'm gonna just take off a little section of that and grab my silicone mat, because let's face it, if you're going to do gluing, it's much better to do it on a silicone mat and not directly on your work surface, where you then go and plonk something else on top and go, oh bother, it got glue all over the back of it. So I'm just gonna, you could either put this so it's on the front of your card, or you could put it on the back of your card. I'm going to go with the front because I'm going to disguise it. Ooh, disguised. Let's just lay that down onto there, put that into the corner, and part of the reason I'm using Tombow is because it does have that little bit of wiggle room, which I kind of like when I'm putting something into place and going, I'm not sure whether I'm going to get it in exactly the right place. So there it is now in the right place. And oh look, there's another piece that hasn't come out. There it is. That's out. Oh, I'm loving this. All right, so I did think that I would use some of this paper because I haven't really used it much. It might look like I have, but I can't remember whether this is one of the ones that I went into a swap with, or I gave a heap of it out to my craft at home ladies. So it's kind of pretty, and I attempted to colour in one of the flowers and I really don't like what I did with it, so that hasn't actually got any further. And let's just show you what the back of it looks like. So the back of it looks like that. Oh, that's pretty. Do like that. Wonder what I should go with on the back. Very tempted to pop a bit of this down straight onto the back there. Yeah, let's go for it, shall we? So I'm going to need a ruler because I want to know how much it is that I need. Let's go with seeing whether it'll fit in inches. It's not really. 3 1/4 maybe. Or do I go with centimetres? Might go with centimetres because I can get 8 1/2. I like sort of even measurements. So 8 1/2 centimetres. There's my 8 1/2. Let's just check whether that's going to work. Beautiful, because I do want it to cover over this little section here. I don't really want that to be showing at the end of it all. And then, what size do I want this piece? I want this to be probably 14 1/2, I think. Sounds like Tom's home. 14 1/2. Oh look, there's another piece that hasn't come out. There it is. Oh, that's right, the dog's going to bark because Tom's home. And that'll look lovely on the back there, I think. So let's just go again. We're going to use a little bit of Tombow on the back of this. Oh, that's awfully pretty too, actually. Oh. So shove a bit of Tombow onto the back there. I have to admit, Tombow tends to be my go-to glue. Although just recently I have started using my stamping seals. So I've got 2 different stamping seals, which have been pretty good actually. Might go ahead and use those in a moment and sort of show you how I use them. So there is that one down as the background. Oh, let's just rub a little bit of this glue off here because I'm bound to put something down onto top of it otherwise. But the good thing with the silicone mat is that you can rub the glue off. So yeah, that looks quite pretty on the back there. Now what are we going to put on the front? Let's have a look and investigate. Oh, that one would be kind of cool actually, in the middle there. This is not what I was planning on at all actually. Interesting. Okay, well, I like it, so I'm going to go with it. And what I'm going to do is, what did I just do with my ruler? There it is. I'm going to go from about there to about, might cut it at 14.5 again. Oh, that would make sense if I actually cut this way first. So let's check it out. 3 centimeters that way. Just bear in mind, if you're doing this, that you really do need to measure your own card, because everyone's card is going to be marginally different with their measurements. So 14.5. And, oh, let's get rid of that piece. Let's just pop it onto there. Okay, and so then I'm going to take a little piece off the end here, so it's just going to be a fraction under the 5 millimeters that I know is the size of my little flappy bit at the end. And the reason I've cut it off the end there is so that the pattern can kind of continue onto it. But if I left it so it was all in one piece going along there, you'll find that the bend on this part here won't bend quite as nicely as it will do. Hopefully that makes sense anyway. I know what I'm talking about. Hopefully you guys do too, because otherwise it's not a very good video. Oh, it's very pretty on this side too. Oh, isn't it terrible when you get pretty sides to all your papers? So there's that. And we just add that piece onto there, and oh, there it is. Put that piece onto there, and then we're going to put this little piece on as well. So when you use the Tombow, if it's something that you're not used to using, you just squeeze very lightly with it. If you squeeze heavily, you're going to find that it just goes everywhere, and you end up with this massive lump of Tombow, which is kind of also where it's handy to have your glue mat, your silicone mat. So all this is looking really pretty. I have absolutely no idea what I'm going to put on the front of it, but we just need to find one little piece for the front here now. Let's see, what else have we got here? We had a, I wonder if it would look nice with that. Maybe. What are the other ones like? No. No, I feel like it needs a slightly darker colour at the front. So what about this one? That one or that one? I think the lighter of the two, because everything else is relatively light. I think that one's actually a wee bit too dark for it. So I'm just going to move those pieces out of the way for now. Let's measure this. What have we got? Oh, I haven't even got a centimetre. I think we've got in inches. See if it's any better in inches. 1/4 of an inch. Actually, you know what? 1/4 of an inch might be a better measurement to go with. Sometimes it's easier not to go with centimetres. I know that sounds really weird to me, but then we will go this way, 13.5. Okay, so 1/4 of an inch by 13.5 centimetres. 1/4 of an inch, and then 13.5 Oh, let's just move this into the picture so you can actually see what I'm doing. Centimeters. And let's just trim off a little tiny piece just to go again in the come here, you little whatnot. All right, bring this back in and this back in. I think I actually told you what this paper's called. It is called Abigail Rose. It's very, very, very pretty paper, I've got to say. Come on, off you come. And we want this one to sit onto there. That looks good. That actually doesn't look quite right. That looks a lot bigger than what I want. We may have to just go with trimming it down. That's better. Where's my take your pick tool? That will be slightly easier, I think. Okay. Just going to move that around a wee bit, add a little bit of glue to the back of that, and pop that piece onto there. There we go, that's better. Right, so now we've got that part. We also need to create something for it to sit, these pieces to actually sit underneath. So sometimes what I'll do is I'll actually cut out one of these for it to sit underneath, which actually might not be a bad idea. That would look really pretty. What else have we got for the other side? Let's just bring my papers back in again. What have we got? That doesn't exactly go with it. Not sure about that either. Okay, so I am thinking that I'm going to use some of what's on here. Actually, I'm going to cheat. Hang on 1 minute. I need a smallish, this'll do, smallish punch. All right, here we go, cheat time. 1, 2, and the other thing you do need is you actually want to stiffen this up slightly. So I'm just going to cut myself 1, 2 of those. Oh, just to put behind it. Let's get rid of those. Let's just move these bits back out of the way again. Okay, you can all go in that direction. How about that? There we go. So yes, I've used that little, it's a little punch that goes, oh, it's called Best Label. There you go. Gee, isn't it good that I label up my punches? Oh, pun. It's the one that goes with the alphabet set is what I was going to say. So let's just add, actually haven't used my stamping seal at all, have I? Keep meaning to, and it's probably not so appropriate with a project like this anyway. And then that can just sit directly on top of that. Because I'm using the stamping seal again, I can just move it until it's actually exactly over top of the other one. And let's just do the same with this one. There we go. Ooh. Just going to rub the glue off my hands. You know what I'm going to do? Just grabbing my soft suede here, and I'm just going to roll the edge of this around in it. I always like things to show up on my card. So I just... Also, if there is any white showing underneath, this will kind of get rid of the sort of like tiny edge of white, because it probably wouldn't matter, but I don't want it, so don't want it showing on there. All right, so hopefully that is now dry, looking good. I don't think I'm getting too much colour on my fingers, so that's always a good sign. Usually I would just grab a piece of scrap paper and dunk it into the side of the scrap paper to make sure it's all gone. And then we are going to need, I don't think I'm going to use the big ones. I think I'm going to use the small ones. So the mini dimensionals, because I'd actually quite like to put a couple on there. And I want a little bit of a gap along the edge so this can actually go into it. 1, 2, and let's take those pieces off there. Actually did put a bin down underneath me. There you go. So then it's now a case of how much of a bend do you want in the front of your card. So I think I kind of like that much of a bend. So what I'm going to do is put that on there, and that piece will slide in behind there. And then this one, you also want to just very gently with your fingers just run it so that it actually gets that little bit of a bend going on. I think if I was to put this one around about, nope, want it lower than that, round about there, I reckon. I'm looking at it and thinking the design looks like it's upside down. Now that I've stuck it down, of course. So there you go. That is a bendy card, and I'll probably add a few extra decorations to it. As you can see with this one, we've got the motorbikes on there. With this one, I actually chose to use the middle of the, with the dies, you actually get a little cutout when you cut out the tyres. There's the word that I'm after. So you get a circle when you cut out the tyres, and that's what I've chosen to use in that one. But yeah, there you go. It's really cool because I showed my husband this card and he went, "Whoa, that's really clever. I like that." I went, "Yes!" That's not my normal response to my cards. It's sort of like, oh, another card. Yay, I have to look enthusiastic about this. So so the fact that he actually was enthusiastic about it is exciting. Okay, so I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope this inspires you to have a go as well. If there's anything that you've seen in the video that you think, oh, Heather, I've got to buy that, let me know and I'm happy to get it ordered for you. Just contact me somehow. You know, I've got email, I've got phone, I've got whatever's. And of course, if you want to join Stamping Up, you can do that too, and then you get a discount on everything that you buy, so woohoo! Anyway, come back and join me next Saturday, and I will see you then. Bye! Okay, so I thought I'd hop back on just quickly and show you how I finished off the card. So you can see that I have stamped those flowers and the leaves, and I've put the trellis into the background. I cut the trellis because in the Organic Beauty dies there is this gorgeous trellis. So what I've done is I've actually trimmed off the edge parts of it because I didn't want it to look quite so harsh, the line at the top and the bottom, but I've left the line at the bottom of this one, and this is just pretty much the bottom of the rest of the trellis from there. And that is the finished product. And then because I was cutting that piece out, you end up with these little diamond shapes. So I just figured I would use that. So what I did was I laid it down and I slotted all the diamonds into place, stuck them all down, and then you peel that back off and you can use it. So so that's the 2 cards that I made out of this Something Saturday. Okay, see you next week. Bye.